What's happening, guys? We've got the Jeep out of the garage. We've got a ton of mods we've done to it lately. I'm gonna go over some of those with you guys and show you the cool stuff we did. We've got lights, and of course, a new horn. Oh. The Jeep has been in the garage for a while. We did take it on a trail run a couple weeks ago. We did Pierce OHV loop and a little bit of Fordyce, the beginning part of the trail. And we're mostly just out there to camp, but we did a little bit of off-roading too, so it was a lot of fun. Then we got the Jeep back and it's been sitting in the garage for a while I did a lot of wiring. So we got the new switch panel installed on there, then we got the new roll cage thrown up, and now everything's kind of come together and we've got it at a place where we can take this out again. So let me go over some of the upgrades real quick and I'll show you guys how everything works. A few videos ago we did this. We put the Rock Defense cage kit in from Trail Gear, and then after that we put in a new switch panel from Oxbeam. It was actually mounted right there originally. You can see I've got my off-road phone mount there because now the switch panel is up there between the roll bars. And then we put on these Oxbeam ditch lights and we made these little brackets and just painted the hinges again. So we're rocking the ambers up there. Since then we actually got some new stuff. We've got these new flush mount lights in the grill here. These ones are just dedicated amber. The nightlight ones that I had were pretty good, but they cycled between a bunch of different stuff. The housing shared bulbs from amber and white, so neither one of them was super bright. I decided to just go with these, and what I really wanted to use these for is chase light. So these ones are in the front, just kind of have some flashing lights, like some super hazards, if you will. The other thing I wanted to do was put a bar across the back right here, and we just haven't gotten to it yet. I've got some other things I need to work on, so I'm putting that off for now. But in the meantime, we got these brackets right here that just clamp onto the roll cage, and then we have some more amber 1x2s, one on each side, and these are the actual chase lights, right? So these are in the back, up mounted nice and high. Even if I have my soft top on, should be able to see those. And this is just a flashing light that lets people know that you're out there wherever you are. If you're in the trees, the snow, maybe there's a bunch of dust, you're rolling around through the desert, or even if you're just parked on the side of the road, something happened and you're fixing it, you get some flashing lights going so people know that you're there. I have the same setup in the Samurai and it works really well. We had to use the same mounts as right here. This is a big one that can go around like 2¼ inch bar, and we just have one pointing down here and then the other one pointing in the front. So these are the brightest dome lights you could pretty much ever have, and they're awesome. I love it. Both the strobe and the dome run off of the switch panel here. So you can see we've got an interior light switch right here and the strobe right here. Sitting in the Jeep right here, it's just so much easier to put my hand up here. It just feels like a much more natural thing, which is why I changed it, because the panel was mounted right here, and then I was like, well, I gotta put my phone there too. The mount I have right now is this huge ram claw. It's really big, so I wanted to make sure I was gonna have enough room to do that. Moved it up here, and this also made the routing for the wiring a little bit cleaner, because otherwise I had to run all the cable across right here. So you can see I've got all of that wire protector up there, this big old Luma wire going all the way down, goes under the bar there. So speaking of under, in my previous video, we didn't have it all together yet, but redid all this stuff on the inside. So the inside of the Jeep is pretty much all black now. We've got our bed liner that we put on the floors, and then we painted all the dash and all the pieces up here Rust-Oleum semi-gloss black, and it came out pretty good. There's a couple spots that need some touch-ups, but the whole thing looks a lot better black. I think it was like a gray color before, didn't really match anything. A fun thing to do when you're messing with your dash is to pull all the bulbs out of your gauges and replace them with some LEDs, and when you do that you can get some colored ones. I went with red because, you know, that's kind of the theme of this Jeep is red and black, and now we have all red lights, including down here our voltmeter gauge down here. This is a red LED. When these are in use, they show up as red as well for USB. This used to be cigarette lighters all the way across. We still have one in case you need to run a radio off it, or, you know, a pump for your air mattress, whatever. But these are dual USBs, and then the voltmeter, of course, all red. There used to be a switch under here that this just just all went directly to the battery, which was cool. I decided to go to the accessory, so this just comes on with everything else now, and it's really cool because I can see, you know, what my battery level is, and you know, if I need to start up and let it run for a little bit to get it charged back up. So coming over here, we've got 2 missile guarded switches down here. Before, this had just like an ARB compressor switch on it, but the Jeep doesn't have an ARB, so didn't feel there was much reason to have that. Now we have the black switch, which is actually our new horn, and then this red switch, red lighting for inside the Jeep. I thought it'd be kind of fun to get some red lighting, kind of like a military vehicle. So you can't see it right now because it's day, but right there I have a rock light mounted on the roll bar that's red, and then there's another one right there in between those lights. All right, got the Ooga horn wired up. Actually took me a really long time to do because there was a lot of troubleshooting going on. So I ended up just wiring it up with my own relay setup here. I'll throw a picture of the diagram up real quick, but there's a power that goes into the relay. It's bridged over to this other one. Then we've got the power going out to the horn. The relay's got to be grounded. That's the part that goes to the switch in the cab, and then the horn has to be grounded itself. Wow, I did not know there was that much that went into wiring up a horn. Anyways, there's something going on with my steering wheel, and it's contacting where the horn signal gets sent out to the relay, and that's why I didn't go through the steering wheel. I'm just gonna have a little auxiliary switch. So this switch is actually just a momentary. It doesn't have a horn that works right now, and I thought it'd be kind of funny to have a Ooga horn, and you know, maybe you get up to an obstacle or celebrate with somebody else, hit the Ooga a couple times. I think that part's a lot of fun. So this is the phone mount that I actually had in the Samurai for a while, kind of just hanging on right here on that roll bar, and it's really tight in the Samurai. I never had to use it really because off-road I didn't have any reception, and then we never drive it on road, so I decided to swap it out to here. Really good mount. It's super solid since it's on the roll cage now, and of course you can mount it around and you can get all kinds of different mounting options for this. This is just how I have it configured right now, but super solid phone mount for inside the Jeep. So you can see I don't have the center console back in here yet. I really just do not like that one. I didn't want to put it back in. I might have to do it, but what I'd really like to get is a Tuffy lockbox to put in the middle right here, so I can actually lock things in it and, you know, feel somewhat secure about having things left in the Jeep. The center console also held my GMRS radio, so that'd be a reason to put it back in. I might do it, I don't know. I really don't like it. So I'm pretty stoked with how everything's looking and turning out on the YJ. One other thing that didn't get a lot of attention was repairing these seats. I went through and I replaced like every bolt in here when we did the cage. So you can see I've got the bolts in the floor now. I got some nice grade 8 hardware down there, and all the bolts down here that hold the seats in, or you know, the shifter and the boot that goes around it, they were all different size bolts, different heads. I just kind of wanted to standardize everything, so I went through and did all of it, and then I realized these bolt holes on the bottom of the driver's seat had been ripped out, so I ended up welding a new plate on there, and you know, the seat is much more secure now. Still want to upgrade the seats someday, put some more bar in there for the roll cage just to strengthen things up a little bit more, but we have some more immediate things we need to do. So up there on the switch panel, there's actually a button for some rock lights in the lower right there. I haven't gotten around to doing the rock lights yet because I do have to do a little bit more wiring for that, and I ran through all my wire. I had a huge roll of 16 gauge wire, and it's gone. So all this wiring took a bunch of that up, and honestly I just got to work on some other projects right now, so giving it a little bit of a break. But those red rock lights that we have for the interior, I've got 4 more of those. I'm just going to put one under the rear bumper where it can't get hit, one under each rock slider, and there's actually a couple bolts in the floor right here, and on the bottom I'm just gonna mount the rock light like right between those two, so that should be a good spot, protected. It's a little bit recessed up, so it shouldn't get hit by anything that the rock slider's hitting. And then lastly, we'll have one under the front bumper. I know a lot of people like to mount their rock lights in the wheel well. I'm not really sure what the point of that is. Maybe just because it looks cooler that way, but when the light is above your tire and it's shining down, it's just going to cast a shadow where you actually want to see. So like, I'd rather have it in a much more open spot like right here, and then illuminate the back side of the front tire and the front side of the back tire. That just makes more sense to me. That's how I have it on the Samurai, and those work well. So we've got some more projects coming. Nothing is really too big of a deal, but all these little things add up and it makes it a much better experience to drive the Jeep around. We've got some 1.5-inch wheel spacers coming for only the rear of the Jeep. If you've noticed in any of the videos, the rear axle, these Wagoneer Dana 44s, the rear axle is 2 inches narrower than the front. So we got 1.5-inch spacer on each side, so it's going to end up being a 1 inch wider than the front, you know, only 1.5 inches more on each side. So I don't know, maybe it'll look a little goofy, I'm not sure, but to get that tire out is going to be helpful. I'm still exploring ways to get a different shock setup in there, and it'd be really cool to run the shock between the tire and the frame, but as you can see, pretty close in there. So maybe 1.5 inches out will help me there. I don't know, we'll just have to see. All right, so I'll wait for it to get dark out, and then tonight I'm going to get some shots of the lights for you guys. And you know, I didn't want to record all the wiring and show you guys because I just feel like it's the same thing over and over again. It's so easy to do with the aux beam switch panel that we got that it's just not worth recording. But I think it's worth showing the lights so you can kind of see how they work and maybe get an idea of what this chase light setup has in the back. Instead of going with a big bar, you know, this is another option, another way to do it. So with that being said, I will show you guys the clips of the lights, and for that I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.